So what has been happening in the UK housing price market? Let's check out my weekly update right here. Hi everyone, my name is Simon Mishowicz from Optimize Accountants, and I'm going to be producing a weekly update for the housing market price index. I've been asked to update my information because I'm using historical data, and people have been asking quite rightly for more up-to-date information, which I'm going to be supplying right here. So I'll be producing this every Sunday, so you'll be seeing information from the Halifax, the Office of National Statistics, and nationwide. And we have to always go back to the ONS because that is the most official numbers that you'll see. So albeit it's not the most up-to-date, it's the most reliable of information. And I think we have to put that as an emphasis. It is the most reliable information. The average house prices of 294,000 in December 2022. So now we're looking at 3 months. It's not going to be long before the ONS report is updated. That probably will be out for next Sunday. So go check out that video when it comes out. But 294,000 was an increase of 9.8% from the previous year. So what does that show compared into the latest numbers that have been published by the Nationwide in Halifax? And we have to remember that they are using their own data sources. I'm not dismissing it. I'm just saying that we have to bear in mind that this is not the entire national sale of houses. They are looking at their own data sets. So when looking at average price, we are looking at February 2023. The Nationwide produced a report that says the average price was 257,406. In the January, they said it was 258,297, which is interesting because what is the Halifax saying? Well, the Halifax was saying for January house price that it was 281,684. So I'll be interested to know your views on why there is a difference. My view is this, that it's a different data set, and therefore probably Halifax have got high price sales going through their books. But I'll be interested to know what you have to say about this. I know that there's been a lot of feedback on my reports, so I'll be more than happy to take that on the chin and for you to share your data sources as well. I know people are saying that it's out of date or it's this or it's that, but I really do need to get your data sources, guys. So if you've got some real hardcore data, then please do share it. I appreciate we've all got assumptions and how we feel about the house pricing. That's all going to be negative. We could see it, but I really like to just rely on data as it comes along. And that's why I want to produce this report. So this shows the Office of National Statistics versus Halifax versus nationwide. And you'll see even in October 2022, the house price was showing as 294,996, which is actually higher than both Halifax and nationwide. If we look at November of 2022, the actual numbers for that month, not the report date, but the month of data, was 295,000. And we're showing Halifax of 285,000 and nationwide 263,000. So people are looking at nationwide and saying, well, look at the house price compared to the Office of National Statistics. It's so significantly lower. Yes, but it's based on their data set. We have to remember that. But nevertheless, we can see, if you look at the October versus December on the ONS, we can see December has definitely has gone down, and the actual annual adjusted index is 9.8% increase from the previous year, but that price percentage is going down. So if we look at the January number for Halifax, which is the latest report, I no doubt will see that there will be an update for February next week. I'm hoping to see that come through. But you could compare 281,000 versus 292,000 in October. So there's definitely a decline going on there. And even in November, 285,000. So there's definitely something going on there. And if we compare that to October 2022 for nationwide, they show 268,000 down now in February 2023 of 257,406. So all of them are showing a decrease in property prices. So we know that they're falling. And it's interesting enough that nationwide for the first time is showing a minus 1.1% on their data set, again, not the nation, but their data set of 1.1%. So what will Halifax show? I mean, if you look at January 2023, nationwide, we're saying that the price compared to the previous year was 1.1% plus, but Halifax was showing 1.9%. So again, I'm going to be updating this information because you've been asking for it to be the latest information. I am going to do this every single week. Nationwide, interestingly enough, have put in the affordability of properties. And it's showing the median average is 29.4% across all these years. But look at that in terms of the mortgage payments versus take-home pay is now 39.4%. Bear in mind, though, we have to look back and think about 1990. And I remember these days when hardship was really there, and 2005 when it was above 40%, nearly getting on towards 50%. So we're not too far away from that. And that's because of inflation as well. That is going to be impacting us, not just the house price affordability and mortgage payments, but we are going to be looking at inflation as well. And that's an interesting data source, so make sure you stick around for that. I've published this report that just shows you the where the cold spots are, so the most decline. You can see Scotland are always going to have that negative. Before anyone else, I think, in England. I'm not sure why that's always been the case, but it certainly has in my lifetime, where Scotland have suffered the worst before everyone else. But that could be, again, a trend which filters down all the way through England and Wales. Interesting enough, we saw Wales actually have a pretty modest monthly price increase, which is quite phenomenal. So again, we'll stay tuned to that, but I think we'll still see these monthly price changes. Again, this is from December 2022 from the Office of National Statistics, but I do believe that we're going to see some blues all the way through. And please do share with me, whichever region you are in right now, what are you seeing in the house prices when you're going to the estate agents, when you're going to speak to your friends and colleagues in this business, what are they saying about the house prices? Volumes, I always think this is interesting to see. We're looking at October, again, really old data set. I'm not sure why it's so old, but this is a report that's showing October 2022 volumes of home sales being significantly reduced from the highs of 2018, 19, 20. 2021 is actually quite low as well, but I rather suspect that house prices will go even further. There's two reasons for that. People won't want to sell their houses for a loss, and people that are trying to get to the ladder are looking at house prices and the interest rates for mortgages, and then being able to upkeep those homes as quite expensive. So there's an affordability issue of buying a property, and then there's the reluctance of people wanting to sell. So will house prices crash? I think it'll be based on a number of other factors outside of this, but I have got some information to share with you about that as well. The Money Charity is a website that I have started to look at in a lot more detail. And what I want to do with this is share with you the inflation, which is affecting us all in terms of whatever we buy, it's going to be costing us more money. So inflation was 10.1%. It's meant to be a target of 2%. So what will happen to interest rates? Well, interest rates will go up to try and stem inflation. But inflation, we've got to remember, is food and it is fuel. Are people going to put less fuel into their cars? Probably not. So the prices will go up. Are people going to eat less? Well, maybe if poverty hits, then people will buy cheaper brands, maybe eat less, but inflation is really high, and it's still high. Unsecured debt, I want to bring this in because I want to share with you in terms of people's financial position. If people start to go bankrupt because they're unsecured debt, then we might start to see house prices being forcibly sold. We're not seeing that. If we look at unsecured debt and credit card balances as well, we're not seeing this particular issue right now. There is this whole thing about people spending more on credit cards just to survive. Yes, it's in the media. Does that mean it's true? Again, I'd rather look at some hardcore data. The Money Charity certainly had access to that information. So I want to share that with you. But again, I can't see that being drastically horrific to read. It's pretty much in line with October. It will go up, and if it goes up to 5,000 to 6,000, then maybe we start to see people having to sell their homes. But right now, that's not the case. Unemployment. Here's a 5-year data set. Again, if you look at just 1 year, then people start to say, "Wow, this is horrific." But if you look at unemployment in 2021, when COVID hit and various other things that was going on, then unemployment was above 5%. We're around about 3.7% right now, and that hasn't really been affected too much. We're saying that big businesses are laying people off. We're seeing that in the United States. I do a regular report on that as well. But in the UK right now, unemployment is manageable. So it's really about inflation and cost of living that's been impacted rather than people losing their jobs at this point in time. And this is February. So this is the latest information we've got from the trading economics. Forecast though, well, this is a different picture, and this is what I want to really finish on today. And again, I'll be interested to know your views on this point. Look, if the amount of unemployment does go up to around about 5%, then we're getting back to 2021 levels. Can people then afford their own homes? Inflation is high. Will we see people losing homes, having to sell their homes in a market that no one's really buying? That could actually bring the house prices down quite significantly. If people lose their jobs, they've already got credit card balances, not drastically high compared to previous months, but still quite high. If they can't afford to buy that, they're going to have to sell something. People's savings aren't there as well. They're eroding into the savings pots are being eroded quite significantly in the UK. So that's now gone, where people are relying on credit cards, but again, not too significantly compared to October 2022. But, you know, if unemployment kicks in, then will we see more houses being put on the market at a lower level in order to get it sold before the banks start to foreclose on them? I'll be interested to know your thoughts, but I'll be right here next week with some more updates.